Okay, this is I was number 3 when I was scrumming in high school. When I was playing in high school, I was also a flanker. So yeah, call it now. This is a statement by number 4. This is a statement by number 4. You wanted that? Okay, sure. You got it. There are certain things that I want to sort of air, and these things are part of what make the affirmative repositioning a flexible and a much more in-depth approach to the land question. This is a Team AR statement by the captain, Thomas Sankara. Yeah, he is my hero. But looking at what he achieved and where he ended up should not be taken lightly. Thomas Sankara was assassinated. He was assassinated, and it's a very dangerous thing, supposedly, but it's not. Today, the floodgates were open, and people submitted applications to get land, to get elvens where they can build their homes, where they can regain their dignity, right? Where they can, gain their reward for working for Namibia and working toward Namibia's nation building. Yes, we were not elected. We are not elected entities. I am not elected. I'm not affiliated by to a certain party. I was not, my perspectives are not based on this party or that party. I want to be protected by the government, by whatever government is in charge, right? So that means at the current moment, the SWAPO government is in charge. So I should feel safe even when I'm critiquing the SWAPO government. And I should also be able to express ideas, based on what I perceive. As everybody noticed, the affirmative repositioning that happened today, countrywide, was peaceful. It was very peaceful. As a matter of fact, in Okahanja, police were not even needed. The last march to the Okahanja municipality ended up with police being called, including the military police being called. Right? So compare that to today, where there was barely a police officer in sight. It was that peaceful, right? So most people think of the land question and they think back, and when they think back, they think wars. Well, we should understand that those wars were about land, yes, but they were also about colonization. It was about more than land. It was about imposing borders. All right, it was about imposing borders and it was about imposing rules and laws on the people. The majority of the people could not vote. But right now, we are a democratic country. So as a democratic country, there should be debates about the land issue. Now, these debates should not be based on the past. And this is why the youth have proven that they understand the land issue moving forward. When people in high offices have spoken about the land issue, they've spoken about how dangerous it is, and how much emotion is in the land issue, and about the past, and about how today the land issue cannot be addressed easily because it will destabilize the country. This has been proven to be false today, completely false. Now let me get into it. When looking at the land question based on my narrative, based on the perspective that I'm at right now, it should be looked at individually, right? We should acknowledge that the people that came and colonized us, the people that came and forcefully took the land, right? Most of them are dead. Most of them are deceased. And the people that are currently on the farms, some of them bought them, some did not. Some live in other countries, right? So when I look at I speak for, when we look at the land question, we look at it in depth, and that means collaboration. This is the aspect that Robert Mugabe did not take into account. Robert Mugabe did not take into account the human approach, and this approach is about collaboration. The willing buyer, willing seller is a capitalist answer to the land question. Now, I'm not saying that the answer to the land question moving forward, as most people, this is now because most people are saying, okay, after affirmative repositioning, after this, people should start trying to occupy farms, and the government should look into policies that will distribute the land to the people, give people farms and all of that. This is absolutely wrong, right? What needs to be done is the land needs to be valued again. What happens in the north, beyond the red line, is that that rich land doesn't have value, right? Because of the red line, and because of the lack of training, the lack of tools, basically the lack of skills needed to enrich that land, that side. So when I speak of collaboration, I am talking about empowering the communal lands, right? As you empower the communal lands, you do it in collaboration with the commercial lands. Because when I inherit something, it's something that I inherit from my family. It has sentimental value, right? It can be worth much less than I would perceive, mainly because of the sentimentality. So in order to let it go, you would want to let it go for a much higher price, because of the sentimental value that it holds to that individual. So if you want to tackle the land issue, you cannot tackle it broadly and at once. It takes time, but it should not take a lot of time. And this does not come from debating the prices. No, it comes from debating the value for the country. In Zimbabwe, people were forced off their land, and then other people were given land, just like that. It's almost like it happened immediately, and there was chaos. And it was seen as a breach of democracy, right? Zimbabwe is not frowned upon by the West, mainly because they kicked off white farmers. No, they are frowned upon by the West mostly because they breach the democratic contract. When Africa was decolonized, it was democratized. When it was democratized, that meant that the Americas especially would actually be able to tap the African market. Now, when Robert Mugabe did what he did, he breached that democratic agreement. The United Kingdom did not know how to resolve the land issue, so they dumped it on the aging Robert Mugabe. So this is one of the reasons why Robert Mugabe hasn't stepped down, because if he steps down, then there will be chaos due to the fight for power by the ones that want to get there, the ones that want to be in charge. The ones that want to be in charge don't want to be in charge to help and to empower the people. They want to be in charge to get power. That's why Robert Mugabe, an educated man, sees this conundrum and has remained the president. His presence as the president in Zimbabwe is that of a mediator. I'm not calling him a saint. He's done a lot of wrongs, right? But he spent enough time in prison to also have a vested interest in Zimbabwe. He has a family, his family in Zimbabwe, and he has a vested interest for them as well. Thus, Robert Mugabe remains president to be the mediator. He's being called a dictator based on democratic standards. He's being called a dictator. Alright, that's based on Western standards. So with the land crisis in Zimbabwe is not the same as Namibia. In Namibia we have land that's split in two. We have the communal land and then we have the commercial land, right? So in Namibia's case, the dialogue has to be about our nation. The dialogue has to be about no one loses, because if this is the flaw of the willing buyer, willing seller, that any entrepreneur will tell you, land is an asset. So when you sell your land and you have money, the money will be depleted at some point, and the person that is being asked to sell obviously knows this. So the solution would be collaboration, slow collaboration, so that we can start to move away the invisible lines that divide people. because we have people that are angry because of a painful past. But the people that occupy land also have a painful past, and this has to be acknowledged. Otherwise, that would be an irresponsible leadership. That's why collaboration is one of the first steps. Collaboration is one of the first steps to democratically relocate, reposition land to those that are entitled to farm, because most people are not entitled to farm, and most people don't even want to farm. So there should be a consensus on this. How many Namibians want to farm on a commercial scale? And not just people that are afraid that retirement is coming and they want to retire on a farm. That should be completely taken out, and it should be done without remorse. And I'm saying this in answer to the people that keep asking about the land question. The people that keep saying, no, just chase off the white people. No, they are not white people. They are Namibian citizens. Please, let us not forget this. White people are as safe in Namibia as black people are. In fact, white people are more safe in Namibia than black people. So in order for the land question to be tackled efficiently, we need to stop looking at it black and white. We need to start looking at it as a nation. There is no way that people that come into an agreement could possibly go to war. And there is no way that forcefully taking farms from farmers will not hurt Namibia economically, because it will be a breach of democratic rights. Affirmative repositioning is about more than land. It is about re-establishing everybody whose self-esteem has been bruised by the past. A lot of people's self-esteem has been bruised by the past. A lot of people's confidence has been bruised by the past. A lot of people have become fearful because of the past. I keep on saying that Dr. Sam Nujoma, Mr. Sam Nujoma, is one of Africa's greats, and people don't understand this. Let us understand that during war, there will be casualties. During physical, brutal confrontations, there will be casualties. And when you don't have sophisticated weapons to counter against your enemy, just like in the case of Boko Haram, they start using civilians for what they would perceive as the greater good in that moment. When you are in the middle of war, when you're in the middle of a war zone, it's very difficult to be sentimental. It's very difficult to be emotional. It's a life and death situation. Thus, the outcome that came off of Namibia gaining its independence is a peaceful one. More so, even more peaceful than most countries in Africa. Dr. Sam Nujoma was able, with the help of his administration, he was able to set a foundation for the future generation, to step up that ladder. Now the problem is this current generation is a generation of power hungry people. Thus the elders don't want to entrust power to power hungry younger generations because they don't want to create dictators. And it's not very difficult to become a dictator when you're in power, when you become commander-in-chief. Thus, our constitution needs to be understood by the masses. Our country needs to be literate in all languages. You will find people that cannot speak English or Afrikaans, but that does not make them illiterate. I have a lot of friends who I struggle to communicate with because they don't speak any of those languages. But luckily, I understand some languages, so there is a form of communication, and I'm learning as I go along, right? Because I don't undermine someone based on them not being able to articulate themselves. That's why I said last time, someone who is mumbling becomes the people's judge. That means someone who is not able to articulate what they are trying to say to the masses, right? If a professor writes something, if a professor releases a thesis, not everyone will understand it, but the peers will understand it. The people the undergraduates who are studying towards that field will understand it, but not everybody will understand it. So when and this is happening. I think everybody that reads the news has read that there are initiatives being spearheaded to make the constitution easier to understand. And this is vital. This is vital to everybody, including those who own land, who don't agree with the willing buyer, willing seller. Back to Dr. Nuyoma. Dr. Nuyoma is now retired. Let us not forget that he is also a retired war veteran. He is a war veteran. He was in war. Yet we hear stories about, no, he didn't have pistols. No, he was a strategist. How many people did Margaret Thatcher kill when they were at war with Ireland? When they were fighting the Irish, she wasn't there physically. She sent her forces, right? So this needs to be understood. And I have also, if you look back since 1990, you can also see the transformation of our president as he transforms to world politics, to African politics, right? But we cannot depend on him forever. But I do thank him for the role that he played. I do thank him for not wavering, albeit a lot of people don't know how to articulate this. He is a living legend. There are many legends, but most are deceased. Right? But how many first presidents do we have in Namibia? We have one. He is the first president of an independent Namibia. Even if they bring out all of the Lubango the Lubango things, even if they put them down on the table and they say this and this and this happened, those were casualties of war, and those would not apply to Namibia. That was Southwest Africa, which was governed not by Dr. Sam Nujoma. I understand it's painful. I understand. I have read of the people that were tortured, and what we need to do is to tell their stories instead of trying to undermine one story that we have, because as a nation we should have a beacon that we can show the world, and our beacon is our president. Look at South Africa's President Zuma with an underage girl showering to remove STDs, corruption, klankla, all of those things. And look at our presidents. They are noble men. They stepped up and they transformed accordingly. They changed accordingly. Thus, when we look at history and the land question, we cannot look back very, very, very far, as in the 1903s, or look back so far as to when the Khoi people first entered Southern Africa. That doesn't help anybody. The land question is a national question. Thus, it must be approached as a national question. We need the landowners to become sentimental about Namibia too. We need to start acknowledging the farmers, the impact that they have on our country. As we acknowledge their impact, we also collaborate. As we collaborate more and more and more, we get closer and closer to agreements. What happened with the AR movement? There was collaboration amongst the youth, and then the youth in turn could collaborate with the police, and then the youth in turn collaborated with the municipalities. Collaboration, meeting halfway. But what is that middle ground for the land issue when it comes to the people that want to disown others of farms? What is the middle ground? These are the type of questions that need to be asked. Because when we say we take the commercial farms, then that means that we are stripping someone of their citizenship. That means we are breaching our constitution. Hence, let's start taking care of the foreigners, as South Africa did. They started to take care of the foreigners first. The ones that own land but are not Namibian citizens do not deserve to. That's what I have to say about the whole tackling the bigger land issue. The bigger land issue is a bigger thinking process. It's a bigger chalkboard. It will take more time, but youthful time. And youthful time is devotion upon hours. Hence, AR was a success. AR was a success. AR was a success without using party favor. It actually parties were the ruling party was against AR. AR was first. The police were against AR, and then the town councils were against AR, and all of them were neutralized, and the middle ground was reached. So when you are tackling a bigger problem, you take what you have learned. It's a lot of data that we've gotten from this, a lot of data. So this data will be taken care, I will be, used. It's not being thrown away, because the current land application issue is not yet finished. Right? The project is not yet finished. It's still ongoing. There is still the question of pricing. There is still the question of corruption. This is what this movement has brought forward. I said I would be in Rundu. I said I would be in Rundu no, I didn't say I would be in Rundu. I said I support Rundu, which was mistranslated to I will give my application in Rundu, and there was already problems there. Those are people that are trying to protect their positions. They are trying to protect their jobs. They have families to feed. So people will fight for their positions, for their jobs, for their office much harder, because they don't want to lose status as well. These are the things that AR wants to tackle, to remove materialistic worship, because material is worshipped, and material is symbol of status, is symbols of status amongst us. We would laugh at our fellow, or laugh like me. I was laughed at. Yeah, I'm poor. I can't afford la bola. What? My shoes are torn. All of that stuff. Yeah, I drive a Scoro. All of that stuff, which did not bother me. I'm not materialistic. But obviously it was seen as some sort of a driving point to stick a knife within me. When that didn't work, it was character assassination. My email address was hacked, and then after that I was betrayed by someone I trusted, who decided to disclose my Facebook, and messages that I wrote, including jokes, all of that stuff was supposedly used. Now, no, that's not me. I'm still growing. That doesn't work, because I believe in something bigger. I believe in something greater. As I was driving from Divundu, I said to my father, I don't want bad people to turn me into a bad person. I don't want bitter people to turn me into a bitter person. Because we have to fight for good. Namibia has to be a symbol of protection and love for all of its citizens. For all of its citizens. The ones that don't want to participate in the new Namibia, the all-inclusive Namibia, will be left behind in their anger and bitterness all alone. They can drown in it. This was a very, very pressuring endeavor, a lot of pressure. But with a lot of pressure, you learn to walk through pressure, and you also learn what are the tactics used to try and dissuade. And those are the ones that you give to your fellow soldier to arm themselves, so that we protect each other. We don't want defectors of Namibia. And it happened. Despite everything, it happened. Irrespective of party, religion, background, people stood in queues together. And unlike when they were standing in queues at the election, they were optimistic. They were optimistic because, number one, they were finally participating. It meant something for them to participate. Their participation was the driving force, as it should be with all governments. Citizens' will should spearhead governments. And here it was shown the power of the youth. There was no chaos, was there? There was no chaos. Where there was chaos, it was quickly taken care of, because everybody wears that banner Namibia in their blood. Namibia is the next frontier. I believe this to be so. There is no other country on this planet like Namibia. No other country that is moving on a social level now, on a social level like Namibia. Just look at our fellow country, our fellow neighbor. In South Africa, they were killing gay people. In South Africa, they were raping gay women, raping lesbians. These stories are not found in Namibia. There are mumbles here about people's this, mumbles here about people's this, but there is no violence. Namibia does not have dangerous gangs, and I'm talking about dangerous gangs like Boko Haram as a threat. On a social scale, Namibia is divided by the economy, and this can be remedied by making food affordable, by making water affordable, by making electricity affordable. This can be done. This is nation building. This is positive peace. The zombie complex is going away, it's fading, but it's being replaced with anger. But this anger should not be pointed to one another, to each other. No. The anger should be pointed to the one that can correct it, as the state, which is the party that wins the tender to govern us. But we have also shown that as Namibians, we can also solve our own problems. We can come together, speak about our problems, solve them diplomatically. This level of maturity is not found anywhere else on this continent. Nowhere. I say we are winning, but we need to work out the kinks. If your food budget is reduced, there's relief. If your electricity budget is reduced, there's relief. These are structures, right? These are structures that can be built to stabilize society. Structures that can be built to stabilize society. Then the next worry will be less tense. That's why I am very proud, very, very proud to be a Namibian in this day and age. To be a Namibian in 2015, to still be alive. I say if the heroes that are deceased, the Samuel Maheros, the Hendrik Witbois, unlike most other countries, if they were to rise from the grave, they would actually be proud. They will be proud of the progress, because there is progress. Now it's about consistency. And we are very consistent, because we calm each other down when the pressure is high, and we get back to our duties. We are collaborative. And again I say, I would like to thank the man, he knows who he is, for spreading the word about grass, about cutting grass and storing it for the incoming drought. That is community collaboration right there. And it is disaster prevention. It is thinking ahead. That's it for today. Salute.